Fittingly, we have BNS, Ben Nicholson-Smith, as we're going to chat WBC, the World Baseball Classic. This is Instant Analysis brought to you by Tylenol Rapid Release Gel Caps. Rapid Release for Rapid Release. Okay, Ben, let's dive into this thing. The Canadian squad, they kick off their tournament Sunday against Great Britain, and I want to know, what is the biggest question mark facing Team Canada at the WBC?
To me, it's got to be whether they can get enough pitching. I mean, beyond Cal Quantrill, who's an established major leaguer at this point, they do not have a lot of answers on that pitching staff where you know what you're going to get. And that's true of a lot of teams in this tournament. It's kind of the nature of the tournament where teams are happier to let their position players go than their pitchers. But, you look at this Canadian staff, they're really going to be relying on the likes of Rob Zastrinski and some older guys like Scott Matheson, Philippe Aumont, John Axford, guys who aren't necessarily in the major leagues anymore. So they're looking to help and contribute any way they can. It's a cool story, but to me, that's the big question for this Canadian team.
A lot of guys that will make baseball fans go, oh yeah, what happened to him? Well, he plays for Team Canada now. My next question for you, what does Team Canada need to do to advance? Or is it pitching again? Do we need strong pitching, or is it something else?
Well, there is, of course, going to be a pitching aspect to it. I think that's true for any team that wants to make noise in this tournament. There's going to be a strategic element too, where Canada is going to use Cal Quantrill against Great Britain in a game they absolutely have to win. So the strategy really comes in this tournament. Whereas against the United States, it's probably a game that Canada is not necessarily going to punt, but you strategize and you probably don't put your best pitchers in that situation. But let's not forget about the offense too, because this is a group that has some legit offensive players. Otto Lopez, who had impressed a lot of people in Jay's camp, he's potentially batting lead up for this Team Canada. You've, of course, got Abraham Toro, Tyler O'Neill, legit major leaguers, and Freddie Freeman, who's the big star of this team, really one of the best bats in baseball. So that's a pretty good top 4 or 5. And that's been the case for Canada at a lot of these tournaments. But this really is a group offensively that should be able to compete and potentially push past Mexico and Colombia, their main threats in the pool.
That was pretty much going to be my next question. Who, if you had to pick one major threat, who is the biggest threat to Canada?
Probably Mexico. I mean, the U.S., that team is so stacked.
Yeah.
I mean, they're making it through, at least this round. Then you've got Mexico. They actually have some good pitching with the likes of Urias, Taiwan Walker's on that team. So they have some arms that you need to watch out for. And Colombia is a sneaky good baseball country. So Colombia is definitely a team to watch as well. They are real competition for Canada along with Mexico. Great Britain, you absolutely can't lose to Great Britain. You have to win against them. Canada is much, much stronger as a baseball country. But there is some competition with Mexico and Colombia being real threats to Canada.
I would say that another threat may be Canada's fashion choice, or at least maybe that's just the perceived threat amongst everybody who saw Canada display their new jerseys. Don't think a lot of people were fond of them. Ben, what's going on with the Canada jerseys? That's the main question everyone's asking.
Well, I wish I could tell you, Kevin. I don't have these answers. I really don't. I think, it's too bad because Canada, you think about the great hockey jerseys, you think about Canada's got some good looking jerseys at times. The Olympics were always well represented. I don't know what happened. And, maybe this will change with age. I don't know. If they celebrate a championship wearing those things, then maybe we'll change our minds. But, at first glance, the font is just too small. We need to be able to read the font, people. So let's see that.
Listen, man, I can read everything. I can hear everything that you're saying, and it's always great. It's fantastic. A few steps above the Canada jerseys. And you're right. Maybe Canada does something amazing in them, and then history looks back on them a lot more fondly. BNS, we appreciate this, pal. Thanks.
Anytime. Thanks, Kevin.